again, I don't much like talking about this, partly because I have discovered, just as an observation, that when you start talking about that, you put yourself in a place of danger, to be honest. And when I was writing the book, Evil and the Justice of God, Maggie kept telling me she wished I wasn't doing it, quite seriously. And when I was then making the television film based on it, which was quite an exciting film to make, again, she kept saying, you shouldn't be doing this. And there were all sorts of things going on in my work and in our life which were not happy at the time. And she has often looked back and said, I told you shouldn't have done that stuff. You know? And I probably should have got a team of people to pray for me through that time, and I didn't do that. I mean, there are people who do pray for me, and thanks, guys, who do that. But it's hard because I think the desire to name evil or sources of evil or forces of evil may be a desire to think that we can then, having named them, have a sense that that's all right, now we know who they are, we kind of got them in our sights. And I think part of the whole point of it is that evil is nameless and slimy and formless and seeps in other places, so that if you think, right, there it is, it's something called Satan and he does this, this and this, phew, now we know, keep a watch out for that. And then before you know what's happening, something else, nameless and scary, is happening. And that is in my experience how evil works. And it does that with the individual, it does that with societies, it does that with churches, it does that with communities. And, you know, the older I get as a human being, as a Christian, as a pastor, as a bishop, the more I just think, yeah, you've got to take that very, very seriously. I was talking to a very senior colleague in the Church of England the other day about some stuff that was going on that I was aware of. And he said, that's spiritual warfare. And I said, yeah, that's my reading of it too. He said, so I'd never heard this phrase before. He said, old big boots is on the march. I think it's an African phrase, actually. May hint at who I was talking to. But it's a way of saying something is happening there which works sometimes through earthly power structures and sometimes not, which works sometimes through isolated individuals and sometimes gets a grip of whole communities. And we can never be sure that we've kind of nailed it. And that's why, as I think I hinted before, the idea that September the 11th suddenly revealed to a previously happy, enlightened world that there was still some evil out there, and we'd somehow not got it sussed yet, and that we needed to go and deal with it. You know, Tony Blair in the Labour Party conference that autumn, just an amazing messianic arrogance of there is evil out there, and we're going to deal with the evil in the Middle East, and then I've discovered that there's some evil in Africa. We'll go and deal with that as well. Whew, yeah, this is, what were we talking about here? As though the post-Enlightenment world had created this lovely, happy, Edenic state, and suddenly a snake had come into it, so let's just go and blip it on the head and then it'll be all right. That's just amazingly trivial and hence very, very dangerous.